Hi, it's Justin and I hope you're enjoying my dad's videos. Make sure to share this video with family and friends, like and subscribe and turn on post notifications so you get notified for all my dad's new videos. My social media will be tagged down below so you can follow it. And just remember, Jesus loves you.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi,
Rachel,
Chris.
that's
Golly, small world, Rach. What's up, huh?
So nice to see you again.
yes.
See you, dear.
And Charlie, that's Rachel Ham.
Hi, Rachel.
Charlie, so nice to meet you. I
You too.
really appreciate the things you're saying and doing. God bless you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a fun journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's only 4 months ago I had 37 subscribers.
Yeah.
And-
Interesting how that happens, huh?
Yeah, and I started off with my little walks, and because I work behind the scenes and I get inside information on what's happening, and I started telling people what was happening, and people just connected to it, and we've gone from 37 to 119,000 today.
Wow.
Um,
Well, from what I hear, you're receiving information that I'm also receiving, but I've been getting it from God, and you're getting it through people, right?
Yeah, but he gives these people the information, so you're getting it quicker than me. Because he gives it to them to give to me.
Yeah. Well, it's
Even
just
better.
such a, yes, the direct source.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time for people who love the truth and people who want justice and people who, I don't know, people like us. It's a great time to be alive.
It's what I call 5-dimensional rather than 3-dimensional. It's a different level.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I verify my information on a 5-dimensional level rather than on the ground level.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way. And I often say in my videos, if you're a Christian and you hear some information, you can kneel down on your knees and ask God if the information is correct, and He can guide you. If you're a Muslim, you can ask Allah; He can guide you. If you don't believe in religion at all, just ask your mother or your grandmother; they'll tell you.
That's right.
I was just telling Denise that. I said the one thing that Christians should be asking for right now is discernment.
Exactly.
So that when you hear something, that God-given, nope, that's not true, or I think there's something to that, and that's an amazing thing to have right now.
Well, we're
We
all
need it.
programmed by television. And when you turn your television off, you become deprogrammed. So then you'll get discernment. But if you turn your television on, my father used to say when I was younger, it's a pipeline of filth into the house. That's why we never had one. We weren't allowed to because of the religion anyway, but he'd say it was a pipeline of filth, and that was probably the only true thing he ever told me. But it is. We've started to realize what a load of rubbish comes through there. And discernment, I use a slightly different word. I say it's our moral compass. And then now's the time to reset our moral compass so our discernment is correct.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Yep.
happening? And I have a naughty saying that if it looks like shit and it smells like shit, it's probably shit. But I've got other people who say if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
Christopher liked that, right, Chris?
I like Charlie already. I can tell me him getting along just fine.
Oh, yeah.
We have a lot of similar sayings there, Charlie. That's wonderful.
So if we keep it simple, Christopher, then the people come with us.
That's it.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Yep.
So Rachel was just on my show, and she says, I want to get off track a minute, and I want to tell you something that the Lord's been showing me, and she's been having dreams about this, and it's about the gold standard returning, right? The new currency. And that's when I brought up your name, Charlie. And so she's been having dreams, right, Rachel? How long have you been having dreams about this?
All of this year I've been having them, and a little bit into last year. I started, actually, the first one I had was 2015, and I told some people, hey, you might want to buy some gold and silver, and they were like, sure thing. And just kind of, I didn't think much of it because it was just one dream, but I did go at that point and buy some. And then this year, it's like so many dreams that I can barely keep up. I mean, the revelation coming is so intense. And I started putting it out on Instagram because I felt like God said, for those who have ears to hear, give them a chance to hear. And so I switched what I was doing. I was doing kind of like motivational stuff on Instagram, and I had about 10,000 followers. And I switched and started saying more like things that God was showing me. And I started saying, you might want to buy gold and silver. And I also said that I felt like God had shown me that we were going to switch to a cashless currency, like a cryptocurrency, and that you should buy gold and silver, that it was going to be backed by gold and silver. And, you know, it's been interesting. Some people are like, that will never happen, you know, blah, blah, blah. You get the critics. And then some people are like, God told me the same thing. So I'm just trying to give people a chance. For those who have ears to hear, God's saying we're switch. I keep hearing new currency, cryptocurrency, gold, silver. So on Denise's show, I just said, hey, can I just say this real quick? Because I try to, whenever I can, get it out for those who have ears to hear.
Yeah.
You're absolutely spot on, without a shadow of a doubt, because when I heard this information, I just asked God if this was right, and he pointed me in the right direction. And I'm 100% sure, not 99.9% sure, 100% sure that we're moving in the right direction to exactly that. We're moving away from a very corrupt system, which was the fiat financial system run by the Federal Reserve. The minute I saw Trump, the people of America, I've had stand-up arguments in Disneyland when I go and see my grandson in Boca Raton, stand-up arguments with Americans who, I explained to them the Federal Reserve is a private boys club owned by the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. You don't know what you're talking about, man. You have no idea. You're a thick Englishman. And I've gone, maybe I am a thick Englishman, but I know who owns the Federal Reserve, and it's not the US government. It's a standalone company. And they were like, you just don't know shit. And I went, okay, I don't know shit, but I actually do. But you'll wake up one day. And then, of course, now it's all unfolding. And when he moved the Federal Reserve into the Treasury, I was like, yep, you've just been put in a headlock, and now you're under control. And then when we put Judy in there to look after it, because she's the queen of goldback. Yeah, that's exactly where it was going. And a lot of people were unaware, and I mentioned it in one of my earlier videos, because my contacts spread far and wide. In fact, 99.99% of the world are completely oblivious to what's happened in the last 2 months. Going back in history, the family who ran China was the Dragon family. And the people have heard about dragon bonds, and they've heard about golden bonds, and they've heard about all these bonds, but nobody really knows anything about it. Well, they come from the Himalayan descent. The Dragon family are their bonds. But they were actually valued 3 months back at multi-quadrillion dollars. I mean, it was off the scale. They actually monetized $100 trillion in a Swiss bank. And I know the Swiss bank, I know people who work there, they have verified that story. So I know that they've monetized it. And I know that that money cleared, 100% cleared the American debt. I know it cleared the Russian debt. I know it cleared the Indian debt. And I know it cleared the Chinese debt. So there is no debt in any one of those 4 countries as of a few weeks ago. The minute the money was paid back to the Federal Reserve, whereas who had lent the money, then there was a subpoena issued against the Federal Reserve for fraud, and the money was seized, which was an absolute ace move, and nobody outside of the very close circle knows that happened. So America, as of today, doesn't have any debt. So the debt clock is just purely to keep
for show
for the deep state and everybody else who doesn't know what's going on. But the debt's been cleared. I've probably had over 100 messages now. No, not probably, definitely, of people from America and around the world whose debt has been wiped out: mortgages, student loans, utilities, etc. They've all been wiped out, and nobody can give them a reason. And one guy walked in to pay his utility bill, and they said, "Sir, it's already been paid." He said, "Look, I've actually got some spare money, so can I pay 2 months in advance?" They've gone, "Sir, that's been paid as well." And he's gone, "But I haven't paid it." And they've gone, so he went back again later on the day. He said, "Can I double check that you've got my account right?" They said, "Yep, there's your account. It's cleared, and there's nothing due for next month or the month after either. There's no rhyme or reasoning, but we will start to see the forgiveness of debt during the month of September a lot more, because we'll move away from the old fiat financial system into the quantum financial system.
Now, do you know when they're going to announce this?
Do you know what? I want a fanfare and I want a party, but he's not doing it that way. He's doing it so discreetly and quietly.
Yeah.
You know, I know the quantum financial system was in operation from August the 2nd. Nobody knows about it.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows that XRP was backed by gold. Nobody knows about it. I've had two wonderful guys from America, or one from America and one from the Middle East, crypto specialists. They're saying, Charlie, we've heard that you've been talking about XRP being backed by gold. And I said, look, I've got it from very good source. It's not public information yet. It hasn't been published yet. I'm just sharing it with friends. And people are waking up to the fact that things are happening. And then when it happens, they go, I have one guy that I told something was going to happen the other day. And I told him and I told him and told him, he ignored me. And then when it happened, he's gone, why didn't you tell me? I said, I've been telling you, we haven't been listening.
You ever heard of Wayne Jett, Charlie?
Wine Jet?
Yeah.
No.
He's got a book called The Fruits of Graft, and it's an excellent book. Him and you are on the same page because he's told me some similar stuff. I've had him on my show 2 or 3 times. He's an older gentleman from Oklahoma, and I'm listening to you, and it's almost like I'm hearing an echo of him. It's interesting, very interesting.
Well, Sorry.
I'm excited that you're saying XRP just because my dad had felt like God had told him XRP, that we needed to buy it. And so we did.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard anyone talk about it. So we've just kind of been holding on to it. And right now, like 30 cents a coin or something like that. But I'm really encouraged that you think that XRP is something to buy.
Rachel, I'm not an expert. And as we say in Europe, X is an unknown quantity and spurt is a drip under pressure. So I really, that's where I am at. I know nothing about this, but I'm listening. God gave me 2 of these and 1 of these.
Mm-hmm.
Say that all the time, Charles.
I'm listening and learning.
Mm-hmm.
And what about the Bitcoin? I'm hearing a lot about that, but I don't know anything about it.
I don't. I had 2 guys on just now talking about cryptocurrency. And, for people of my age, hearing about blockchain technology, when I was a kid, we had a chain with a block on which flushed the toilet. That's all I know about blockchain. So it's completely gobbledygook to me. And I'm learning. I'm in kindergarten right now, learning about blockchain, cryptocurrency, but I'm enjoying learning. I'm enjoying it so much. As a 60-year-old man, learning about new things is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Especially from young people.
Yes.
Chris, what do you think about it? Do you think, has God showed you anything about currency, gold, silver?
No, it's not really. That's not my ballpark. I depend on people like Charlie Ward and Rachel Ham and Wayne Jett, and I've got a sponsor on my show, Noble Gold. They're the only one. I've got this contract with the company, Republic Digital, and that's the only people I've ever signed a contract with about advertising, because they promised me I wouldn't have to. It wasn't pressure. It was like I could pick and choose who I wanted to come on. And Noble Gold's been the only one that stayed with me for 2 years, and I've always found that sort of prophetic. That is the only company that has continued advertising on the Mac Files, and they push gold. They push the investments, and I've been thinking about buying some myself. That's just an area I'm not that wise in, so I just lean on you guys, and I'm writing all these notes down, and
Mm-hmm.
I just like Charlie. I just like Charlie. Charlie must be related somehow or another. I just don't know. I like the way he talks. I just do.
Be a brother from another mother.
Yeah, we got several of those these days.
Yeah, exactly. Same milkman.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we're very privileged to be living in this time, We're living through the Third World War. We're not being asked to fight. We're just basically digital warriors standing up for what's right.
That's interesting. It is a different war.
Mm-hmm.
Different world, and we're going to come into an absolutely wonderful world. And you can call it the Great Awakening. You can call it what you like. Enlightenment, revelation. You can call it what you like. But we're moving into a better world, and we're moving out of You know, he said when he started his job about draining the swamp, I bet he had no idea how dirty that swamp was. I certainly didn't. But boy, oh boy, it gives me so much peace inside me to see them get rid of these evil people that have been running the financial system, the pedophile gangs, the Hollywood scene, all of this complete and utter bullshit. And it's just nice to see that being get rid of, that we can come into a better world where we can enjoy humanity and look after each other.
Can you share with Charlie, Rachel, the story that you told on Christopher's show about when the Clintons had that fundraiser? And, yeah.
Yeah, so I have a job where I host artists that are performing at our arena, musicians. And so I was hosting an artist that was one of the biggest artists in the world, and they were doing their rehearsals at our arena. So I was actually with them for a full week, and I ended up being with their head of security most of the time. And so we just, when you're with each other all day, like from early morning to late at night, 7 days in a row, you really get to know each other. And so at one point, the artist was flying in some instruments that they needed for the show on this private plane. And so I had taken the head of security to the private airport to wait for the plane to land, get the instruments off the plane, and take them back. Well, the plane was late, so we ended up sitting there in the car just talking for hours. And he ended up telling me about how this artist was doing a fundraiser for the Clintons. And so this guy was doing the security for this event, and how he had, there was this room that only people with special credentials were allowed to go into. It was the Clintons' room and their people. And they'd been asked to have special security stand at this door. And he said that younger kids were brought in to the room. And he said, ultimately, he found out they were being brought in to service them. And I'm like, service them, like wait tables and stuff? Like, what do you mean serve them? And he said, no, they were doing, there was perverse things happening in this room. And this guy is a good guy. And he was saying, it was, he started realizing what was happening. He was sick that his guys were standing at the door, and how he said he didn't sleep for several days after this event. And he ended up going to his boss, the artist, and saying, you know what was happening in that room, and I know it. And why are you doing fundraisers for them? And the guy was like, yeah, it's not really what they do. Like, I know what they do. It's not really my cup of tea, but it's not my problem. Like, that's their choice, He's like, what are you talking about? Like, they were bringing children in there. You know it. I know it. How can you live with yourself doing a fundraiser for these people? And the guy said, well, it's good for my career, frankly. Every time I do a fundraiser for them, it's really good for me. And it's good for them. So it's mutually beneficial. And so the security guy said, I just told him, and he'd done security for this artist for 20 years at this point. And he said, I told him, I will never again do security for you if you do anything connected to the Clintons. And he said he didn't sleep for several days after the event, and just felt like he was sick that in any way he had contributed to them being able to do that just by having his team working security. And that was years ago. And so when he was telling you this was not in the news at all. I mean, now saying it is kind of like, well, yeah, we know that about them. But at this point, it was like no one was talking about that. We all knew Bill Clinton had affairs and, obviously had a perverse past. But at that point, it was like we thought only with adult women, which is bad enough. But when he was telling me this, it was the first time I'd ever heard it from anyone ever. And he's like, no, they're into pedophilia. I'm telling you, like, they both are super perverse and they like little kids. And it was just such a mind bend. And so now, as this stuff has been coming out, it's like, wow, well, I've heard it, what I feel like is firsthand, because he wasn't saying, I think, maybe I heard, I was like, no, I was there, I was seeing. And yeah, I don't doubt for 1 second the stuff that is out right now about Hollywood, about politicians, about musicians. There's more.
I have video evidence, hard video evidence of this sort of thing. And I'll be brutally honest with you, I'm a father of 4 and a grandfather of 4, and I lost my oldest son 11 years ago in a car accident. And when I get stuff like that, I won't share it with anybody. I delete it. For me, it's disgusting. I won't drop to that level. I'll rise above it. I know about it, and I'll help whoever's draining the swamp drain the swamp. The biggest heartbreak for me is I actually like Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. I like them as people. They're as bad as the Clintons. The Bushes, the Obamas, and the Clintons are in the same pond. I mean, they're disgusting human beings. And it's quite funny how people hate Trump and he's draining the swamp of these evil bastards. And that yet they love these people. I did a video today just saying thank you to Donald Trump. Thank you for, I did 7 points. Thank you for not going to war against any other country in your first term of office, first president in history. Thank you for tackling the elite paedophile gangs. Thank you for tackling child trafficking. Thank you for exposing the Pope as not being somebody who worships God, but who worships the devil, Satan. Thank you for abolishing payroll tax for just for normal human beings. Thank you for arresting sovereign households that are corrupt, never been done before.
That's right.
And also thank you for arresting the politicians that have run our world that are evil. I just wanted to say thank you to him, you know, because these haters need to wake up to what they're hating, and they need to get their moral compass reset. Because without a shadow of a doubt, God chose Donald Trump to do a job.
Charlie, I think the problem is that the moral compass was lost many years ago in this country. And Clinton, look, I don't share the love with Obama, but I respected him as the president because I respect the office.
Yeah.
Didn't agree with the thing he did, but I tried to keep my comments about his policy, not him.
Yeah.
And this virtual hatred to Trump is not just on policy matters, but I've never seen a president experience such virtual hatred about him personally. And the moral compass is you can get somebody like John Kasich out there on an MSNBC program saying that Trump has not done anything that is morally capable, comparable to the Old and New Testament of the Bible, and then in the same breath, literally say Joe Biden's a man of faith. And you look at that and you say, well, how is a party that supports baby killing, that supports the pedophiles, that supports the trafficking, that supports open borders, that supports communism? Look, we've had nothing but a communist national convention this week with the Dems, and that every person that has been on that show, including Hillary last night, they have been so full of the devil. There is no moral compass in that party. And I'm not saying Republicans are great. Look, I despise Republicans about as much as I do Democrats. I despise them more because they promote to us that there are protectors up there, and they're going to D.C. to fight these evil Democrats, and they're just like them. They're just like them. Yeah. So I ain't got no qualm in saying screw you to both of them, to both parties. Trump's not a Republican. He's not a Democrat. He's a MAGA. He's a Trumpster. And he is the only person that could have solved this problem. I think Trump's moral compass, I would take his moral compass any day of the week and twice on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and into every year for the next 50 over any of those people up there that are claiming that he is immoral or this and crap. I'm so sick of hearing them equate, trying to throw us past up and all this stuff when they ignore, Charlie, the 7 things you just mentioned. 3 of those things included trafficking, pedophilia, and this elite Luciferian movement that's literally trying to suck America into this one world government and suck our sovereignty out of our country, suck our borders off. We had no borders, literally going to become Europe 2.0. And look, yeah, as a citizen, it pisses me off, and I'm so sick of it. But the virulent hatred of Trump is not even about his policies. It's him.
Yeah.
And they can't stand it that he stood up to him.
I want to ask you a question, because this is some intel that I'm getting from the inside. The election that comes up in November will not be between Democrat and Republican. It'll be digital. The voting system will be done on the blockchain system. So the postal votes they bought millions of will have absolutely no value because it won't be done on that system. It will be done on the blockchain system. But I've been told by good authority, yes, the mainstream media hate Trump, they hate him badly. But when it comes to people on the ground voting, Trump will win every single state and win by about 90%. That's what I've been told.
Okay, I have something to say about that. So one of my sons is a prophet, and I use that to differentiate between being able to hear from God. I think we all can hear from God, and then there are prophets. Okay, so every year at the beginning of the year, we always pray as a family and ask God to show us what He wants to show us for the next year. And our prophet son, when he prayed, he said, "Okay, God showed me something. There's this place on the map, and I saw it go from blue to red." And so I said, "Where was it?" He said, "I don't know. I just give me the map and I'll show you." We got the globe, and he went and he pointed to Washington, D.C. And he said, "It's going to turn all red this year."
Wow.
Well, I had just had a dream where I saw a map of the United States over my head while I was laying in my bed, and each state was like different colors. And then I heard a news commentator voice say, "We've never seen anything like this. They're calling it the red wave." And every state started flipping over and turning from whatever color it was to red until the whole map was red. And at that point, I mean, this is before coronavirus or riots or defund police. So when I had the dream, I thought, how in the world is every state going to be red? I'm in California. Like,
Yeah.
it'd be like a miracle if it would have red, you know? Mm-hmm. So, and like New York for you, that same thing. So we told some people, hey, this is what we're hearing. I know it doesn't seem possible, but we think God's telling us that in November, every single state is going to go red. But and then now, as we've seen everything happen this year, we're like, well, now I can kind of see how. I mean, defund the police. Even my more liberal friends are like, oh my gosh, what in the world? We can't have this. Like, they're scared about what's happening on the left and are moving towards the right. Some.
I love your view. My first question was, where's the 10% coming from?
Yeah.
And the answer was quite simple. They're the people that are still fast asleep and in the coma.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you see, this
don't want to know the truth.
This was Trump's plan, though. He put the mayors and the governors in control, the Democrat mayors and governors in control. And look at what's happening. I'm in one of those states, unfortunately, and we are seeing murders taking place like almost, like weekly in Manhattan. People are getting killed on the streets. People are leaving the city in drones. Someone just asked the mayor, de Blasio, are you concerned about the future of New York because so many people are leaving? And he says, listen, he goes, some people are leaving, but a lot of people are staying because this is the safest state. And I was like, what is he talking about? I mean, it's so obvious that the Democratic states are like falling apart, but this is what people need to see. You can't tell them,
correct,
don't vote Democrat because they're evil. You have to see it, right, John?
You've completely nailed it. The old administration did regime change. They came into your country. They didn't like you, so they took them out. People didn't like that. Iran, Iraq, Syria, Libya, all of these countries, Afghanistan, regime change. The world didn't like it. Nobody liked it. You'd hate it even more in America if he controlled all the states. So what he's doing is he's letting them expose themselves. He won't come in and change it. He won't come in and change it for you. He'll point out what's evil. Now you have to stand up. And I say for the Christians, get off your knees.
Yes.
Stop praying and put it into action now. Stand up against what's evil. Because praying it will go away won't work. You actually need to physically do something. Now,
yes.
Stand up against evil. He will back you up. He'll support you. But, it's in America, it's easy because it's the Republican states that are open and the Democrats ones that have got chaos in. So it's easy for people to wake up and go, hang on, something's not right here.
Yeah. Do you know about the walkaway campaign? Anybody hear about the walkaway campaign?
I know about it. Yeah, I actually went to a DC walkaway event. I have no problem with the walkaway. The only thing I would say, and I just say this is a word of caution, and my nature's always been to be sort of measured in my excitement about things because people, get all excited about these things. And we got to realize this: walking away is one thing, but walking to something's another. And I think that's the big question, is how much of these walkaway Democrats are going to walk to President Trump, because there's a lot of them that are not, they're not rabid politicians, not rabid political people. And look, any vote that goes, it's just like what happened, I think will happen in 2016 is going to happen in 2020. There was a lot of enthusiasm with the young people for Hillary Clinton, but ultimately the kids didn't show up to the polls. The blacks didn't show up to the polls. The Hispanics didn't show up to the polls because the enthusiasm level was not there. I don't think it's there again this year. I think it's less in 2020 than it is in 2016. And you've got Joe Biden, when he put Kamala Harris on that ticket, there was a 21-point, I read an article, it was crazy. There was a 21-point swing in 24 hours. Biden led Trump 76-21 with black voters. Think about this. With non-white voters, not just blacks, but that's all of them. Hispanics, Asians, all of them. The day that he put Kamala Harris on that ticket, that swing 21 points the other way. He's only leading Trump like 55-40 something now, and that's with non-color. And then the whole national polls, and these are the liberal polls. This ain't even conservative polling. This is the fake polls. They've only got him up 3 points nationally, which we don't elect a president nationally. We elect him by the Electoral College. And that tells me that the enthusiasm level went out the window. I think these kids wanted Bernie or Elizabeth Warren or one of these socialist left-wing loon bomb people. And it was an insult to black people. Look, Kamala Harris has been out putting black people in jail for 20 years for smoking pot while she's smoking her own pot.
Yeah.
It was an insult. It was a middle finger from Joe Biden to the black community putting her on that ticket. And I just think people are sick of this. I think they're sick of the identity politics. They're sick of being called out racist because we don't agree with the Black Lives Matter movement and the Antifa movement. Rachel, you pointed out something. I think they look at this party right now, most people, and even for the most liberal voter, they are taking a pause and saying, do I really want this shift running my country?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gotten to that extreme. And I don't think the enthusiasm level there, I think they're going to just sit at home. I do. I think the Democrats.
I don't think the electoral college system will be in operation for the next vote. I don't see that working. I think
Really?
No, I don't see it at all. I was told very early on that this election would be nothing like you've ever seen before. And I think once we go onto the digital voting system, I think that will all change. And this is why I said to you earlier, the information I'm getting is that it'll be a 90% win to Trump, but it won't be political party. It'll be between good and evil. I don't think the Democrats and the Republicans will even exist after this. I don't think these parties will be dissipated, because there are good people in the Republicans and bad people. There are good people in the Democrats and bad people. I think we do away with all this party political bullshit and decide between good and evil. It's very simple.
Pretty simple, Charles. That's right. It is. Hasn't it always been that way, though? Hasn't it, when you got down to this war that's fighting over this country, has it not always been that anyway? And I think what's happened is that many of us, including myself, we for years were conditioned to believe that it was Republican Democrat. Look, one of the most disillusionments I've ever went through was probably over the last 5 or 6 years, especially over the last 2 or 3 since I started doing the show. Look, I wasn't a big fan of Bush Sr., but I actually respected Bush Jr. because of what happened at 9/11. Not knowing the things I knew back in those days, I was typical American citizen, and we voted Republican or Democrat. That's what we voted, and Bush was a Republican. That means he's a good guy, Clinton's a Democrat. He's a bad guy. And then we wake up one morning and find out that Bushes and Clintons, and as you said, the Obamas are all the same. Yeah. And I went through a little disillusionment, and I've had to really shake myself. And then it comes back down to this. Do you want a nation run by a bunch of pedophiles, by a bunch of communists? Do you want your nation run by Luciferians and literal witches? Look, that lady that was on that camera last night, if you saw her eyes, I had people send me pictures of her last night. I couldn't watch this crap. But I'm going to tell you something. That was a demonic entity speaking at the Communist National Convention last night with Hillary Clinton. I mean, if there's ever an individual that is full of so many demons, I've never seen a more modern day version of Jezebel, the Old Testament villain of Elijah.
Can I just correct you there? That wasn't her. That was a clone.
I wouldn't doubt it, Charlie.
That's why there's absolutely no life in their eyes.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
You can't see a soul.
Can't see
The
a
eyes
soul.
are
They
the
don't have
windows
a
to
soul.
the soul.
They don't have a soul. And you nailed it there. You've absolutely nailed it there. For people that are waking up, you've absolutely nailed it. There's no life in their eyes. There's no soul. And if you have no soul, there's nothing coming out. The eyes are the window to your soul. And the
That's
minute
right.
you look at those people, you just go, they've got no soul. But they're, with respect, that's not who they are. The Hillary Clinton one, I joked about it earlier. The Hillary Clinton clone was obviously made in China on a Friday afternoon. Not the best, not the best copy in the world at all.
I love Charlie. I've heard about
Good
this guy.
Charlie.
I'm just impressed.
We all love Charlie.
I
do.
just say it as it is, and that's I say things that that I shouldn't say. It's like in the old days when women used to come up to say to me, "Does this dress make me look fat?" I said, "There's nothing wrong with the dress. It's your ass that makes you look fat." And I've learned to tell the truth from a very early age. It sometimes gets me in trouble, but most of the time it's it gets me through life. And I grew up in a world which I was involved in of bullshit. So I can smell it from a mile away. And when I was surrounded by it and I was part of it for years, years and years.
You were raised up in a cult, Charlie?
Yeah. I was raised up in a religious cult.
Wow.
Called Plymouth Brethren. And then when I was in it, the leader of it was from America. He was from Nitchie in North Dakota. A guy called Jim Symington. He was the leader at the time. And then he handed it down to the Hales, father and son, John Hales and Bruce Hales, from Australia. But I walked away in 1983 when I was 23 years old. I had an arranged marriage at 18. I had 3 children in that period of time. I walked away. I'd been misled. And it's quite funny because when I was I helped a number of people in court they'd split up their families because my parents completely disowned me from that day to this. And I helped people in court to defend it. And I talked about brainwashing, and they've gone, "No, you weren't brainwashed. That's Muslims. Christians, they're indoctrinated." And I went, "Is there a difference?" And it's a bit like the Illuminati and the deep state and fake news and propaganda. It's exactly the same thing, but with a posh name.
It's interesting.
Which also brings up the point I would like to discuss a little bit, the church, because I think that the United States church, at least, that's my own experience, maybe it's the whole world, I don't know. But I think the same thing we're seeing with Hollywood and people getting exposed, I think the same exact thing is going to be happening with the church and with pastors. And
Yes, I agree.
yeah.
I see, because of my background, Rachel, I don't believe in religion. I believe in faith, and I believe in God. I think religion is divisive.
Yes, it is, Charlie. It's
Right.
It's made to divide us. I grew up with Catholics fighting Protestants. Same God, same Bible, different perspective. What a load of bollocks. I've never, I live next to the Mediterranean. My view of the Mediterranean is beautiful. A diver's view of the Mediterranean, 20 meters below, is completely different, but it's the same body of water. We have to understand that we can have different views, different perspectives, and they can both be right. I've just seen religion divide, but once you get a relationship with God, and I regard him as my maker, then he answers a lot of my questions. He doesn't always answer them at the time I want. It takes him time sometimes to respond. And I'm used to getting answers quickly because of email and what have you, and WhatsApp and all the rest of it. And sometimes he takes his time to let me know. And he probably does to you. You're probably closer, so you probably get it first class.
Well, let me just piggyback a little bit off what Rachel said, and I do believe there's a deep state church, just like there is a deep state political realm. And the deep state church is probably more dangerous because, Charlie, you sort of alluded to it. Look, people are swayed by religion. The religions of the world, if you think about it, probably 3/4 of the world's population in some form or the other are basically connected to a religion. And it doesn't, you can that's just throwing that out there. I don't even know the figures, but if we started looking at the actual people in the world that actually embrace religion, it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And the leadership of those religions are not good people. Many of them are not. They're very corrupt. And even here in America, look, even our denominational system, I bet you I don't even know the number. I think I read something, 1,700 different denominations in America alone. That's a mind-boggling number.
Stupid.
It's a mind-boggling number that many groups are splintered off into America, where everybody can have their own little cult or own little sect or whatever. And I just think that, Charlie, I love the way you framed it, because I feel the same way. Faith and religion are two different things. Yeah. There's very few people that have true faith. There's a lot of people that have religion. But the religious hierarchy in this nation and the world itself is so corrupt that it feeds the political systems of these countries. Look at the number of countries that are influenced by their religious hierarchy in that nation. I mean, think about it, Charlie, over there in Europe. Look at what sway the Catholic Church has over Europe because of the Vatican being right next to you. It's in mind-boggling what it has. Look at what the Islamic nations do. The religion of Islam, how much it controls the Middle East, what that religion does to governments, not churches, but governments. And America's the same way. And we've got a hierarchy over this country that is so corrupt. And it hides people, it convinces people. And I'm going to go ahead and say the elephant in the room. Look, most of Trump's opposition for the first 4 years hasn't even come from the left. It's come from pastors in the church in America that have been self-righteous and, well, I can't stomach his tweets, and, you know, he's had a past and he has affairs, and then they will totally ignore the baby killing. They will totally ignore the baby killing of Bill and Hillary Clinton's and Barack Obama's policies and all them others and this pedophile child sex trafficking stuff. To them, that's not an issue. That's not an issue. And then you throw this racial thing in here, which makes me want to puke. And then you get the black pastors talking about how racist Trump is. When, you know, you look at the policies again of the Dems. Look, the Dems are look, no offense, but Trump didn't make the KKK, folks. KKK wasn't founded by Trump. That was founded by the Democratic Party to suppress black voters. Mm-hmm. And I think it was really what he did this week. If you think about what he did with Susan B. Anthony, I guess it was yesterday on the 100th anniversary of the, I swear, only Trump can get away with this and do it, and it worked. But he basically pardoned Susan B. Anthony on the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, which was basically the right to give women the right to vote, which the Democrats have fought against for freaking 100 years to stop it. That's right. I think it was brilliant. But this is the war. You talking about the digital war, Charlie? This is what we're fighting. It is a war, and we are digital soldiers. And let me tell you something. It's a war unlike I've ever been involved in, but I love it. I love what I'm doing. And I tell you what, they ain't messing with this Southerner, because this Southerner's been built for this. And I love every bit of this, because we're fighting for our country. We're fighting something for eternal. These are eternal things that we're fighting for right now over this country.
When you look at faith, I always have a laugh when I'm in the Middle East, because my wife is a Muslim, non-practicing, like I'm a Christian, non-practicing. And when I'm over there, they said to me, you know, you can't marry her because she's a Muslim. And I said, really? Where does it say that in the Quran? Absolutely nowhere. Man-made information, complete bullshit. And I said to them, the way I see religion and faith, or faith more than anything, it's like the human body. One faith is an ear, one is a nose. One's a mouth, one's lungs, one's an arm. They're all very, very different, but all very, very necessary. You just have to remember one thing. One faith or religion is the arsehole, but I don't know which one it is. It still needs the right hand to keep it clean. And we all need each other, and we're all different, and we're all necessary. And that's one thing that we need to wake up to, that we're all necessary and we're all different. And when you take out the division that wants to kill it, the human body learns that if one part hurts, the rest of the body tries to correct it and make it better. But we're too clever, aren't we? We don't like somebody, so we try and cut them off. We try and kill them. And that's not right. We should be looking after each other. It's human. It's humankind, you know? It's humanitarian. We all have the same rights. We came into this world with nothing, and we'll leave with nothing. We all came into this world as winners, because out of 1 million seamen, we were the one that survived. It's up to us what we do with the rest of our lives. If we fail, it's because of us, not because of anybody else. We came in a winner. So it's very important that we learn our own value and learn everybody else's value, because everybody that's on this planet was 1 in 1 million. We need to learn to understand that and respect that. Doesn't matter your color, your sex, or your race. Makes no difference. We're all the same. And thank God we all look different. Otherwise, the world would be a shitty place. Because we'd all fancy the same women.
We're all starting to look alike with these masks. How do you know what anyone? So I was at the doctor's office yesterday, and this guy had a skull mask, but all you saw was his eyes, and he had a hat on. He goes, "Excuse me, can you take a picture of me?" I said, "I can't even see you. Let me see what you look like. You can take a picture."
I was asked to take a picture of a family yesterday when we were out, and they all had masks on. I refused to do it unless they took their masks off. So they all took their masks off. Then you can see the beauty of their faces.
So, Charlie, do you see another pandemic coming, another virus coming?
Yeah, hopefully. Then they can arrest the final people that are corrupt. There'll be a lockdown, there'll be a blackout, there'll be whatever. They'll blame it on COVID-19, but this will be just draining the last bit of the swamp. So once they've done that, that'll be great news for me. If they do a shutdown, I know that they're getting the last arrest. The last arrest, from what I understand from the inside, are government officials and high-ranking officers around the world, people in high places. They'll be the last ones to be gone. And then the final straw will be taking down the mainstream media. So there will be a period of darkness. There'll be difficult times in September. I understand that. It's time to hibernate. Just go nice and just rest, knowing that the war's going on out there, and he's draining the last bits of the swamp, getting them out of the way. And the reason for that's quite simple. The people that he's about to arrest in the last period are highly armed and highly dangerous. We're talking about chiefs of police.
Wow.
Military people, top politicians that are well protected. So they want us out of the way. And I want to make one little point just for people to wake up to truth. You remember the lovely story about these planes that hit a building in the Twin Towers?
Yeah.
I was told at the time, if you throw a Coke can full of fuel at your house and it falls down, then that's the theory of that one. If you saw on the television that massive explosion in Beirut the other day, and the building next door still was standing, that gives you an idea how much these buildings can withstand. And when you look at that and realize that the Twin Towers came down, you just go, something is wrong. Just to allow people to wake up to truth.
Charlie, I was just watching, somebody sent me this video. Do you know Rick Mayall? He played Drop Dead Fred back in the early 2000s. You familiar with him?
Yeah.
His last movie was extremely controversial, and he died of a heart attack shortly after. The movie came out in 2014, and it's called One by One.
That's right.
You're familiar with it. And what he talks about is what you just talked about. He said, think about how those towers went down. A plane goes into a tower, it doesn't come down like that. It'll topple over, break up in a few pieces. And after that movie came out, yeah.
Anybody who challenged the narrative before Trump came on the scene was taken out.
Yeah.
That's right.
100%.
Yes.
God bless Trump.
Yes, God bless him.
God bless him.
God bless him. You know, if only people knew what he was doing to protect us and save us.
The other thing that what he's doing that most Americans are oblivious to, and I could see it in my life because I'm a bloke, Christopher will get it straight away. Him and Putin are like twins. They get on like a house on fire. Forget the propaganda that goes out by the media. They're two lads that are loving life. Putin has got everything that Trump wants, and Trump's got everything that Putin wants. They're two naughty little boys having an absolute party. And then they've got Modi and Xi with them together. That's a dinner table I wouldn't mind sitting on.
Yeah.
But they are.
Charlie, can you talk about the alliance? I don't know if they're familiar with the alliance.
The alliance is fairly simple. It was set up and it's been very carefully planned for a number of years. These are the people who put Trump into power. These are the ones who planned this. It now consists of around 8,000 people. But the alliance, the people, the Trump alliance, if you like, consists of Trump, Putin, Modi, and Xi at the top. And when I should clarify to you both that Xi is with Trump, but the Chinese Communist Party has now been removed. But because China works in a way that is different from the rest of the world, you'll never ever know that, nor would the Chinese people know that, because they don't even know who's in power. But they will be replaced by people who will run the Republican Party. So the Communist Party no longer exists in China. And Steve Bannon will tell you an awful lot if you could Google onto his stuff about it. But they've been working together. This has been carefully planned with military precision. And they are absolutely spot on target, or the whole team together. Everything has gone according to plan. There's been some slight variations, some timing issues, but everything is working better than they expected. They set traps for them, and they jumped in with both feet. They couldn't believe it happened so easily. And of course, the deep state and the corrupt side fired all their bullets far, far, far too early. And now they've run out of bullets, and they're lost. And because Donald Trump took out the head of the beast first of all, in Italy, the families that run the world, he removed them from power. Then the Venetians, they're the people that's the head of the beast that was taken out. So the Rockefellers, the George Soroses, and all these powerful people behind that, they had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Then they were taken out, and before they were taken out, all their lawyers, barristers, and corrupt judges were taken out. They're all taken out, but taken out in order. So that the powers that be behind the scenes. We have the front of W.G. Barr. No, what's his name? Yeah, William G. Barr.
Attorney General Barr. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yes. What a wonderful man.
Yes.
Love him too.
And then behind him, you've got John Durham. John Durham's got a team of at least a dozen world-class lawyers. They have a team there of the absolute elite of the elite that are in total control of this. And Barr is the face of it, and he's doing a phenomenal job. But when you've got a team behind him like he's got, I mean, John Durham is the grand master behind the scenes, doing a fabulous job. But the team behind it, everything is going incredibly well. And when I talk to them, the excitement in their voices is palpable. The information that I get from them is quite exciting this morning, because I get information from directly, as I said. And for the first time in 4 months, I was actually named in the information as my information being correct. And that was rather pleasing.
Wow.
How were you named? What happened?
Well, I knew that Trump and his team had been watching my videos. And I knew that his team had retweeted a couple of my videos. So I knew we were being watched. So I knew that I had to be very, very careful, because I know what I can say, I know what I can't say.
Right.
And I try and keep within those, although I give little hints away and point people in the right direction. But then I'll send across to Denise the intel I got yesterday, and she'll forward it to you guys. But I get intel on a daily basis of what's happening. And this was yesterday's, and it was the first time that I was personally named. And I felt very humbled by that. Very, very humbled. Because I felt the weight of the team on my shoulders to say, we're trusting you to keep up the good work, but I have a wife and friends around me that keep my feet on the ground and don't let me get above my station.
You're doing
Charlie,
an
have you heard
amazing job.
anything about the Chinese railroad bonds?
It's all part of the Dragon bonds. It's part of the Dragon family. And I'll let you into a little bit of inside information. I've known the family for 20 years. When I arrive in Hong Kong, they come to Hong Kong to take us out for lunch every time we're there. And when we were last there for my son's birthday, they came and joined us and took us out for lunch. And my wife said, they're so humble. Are you sure these are the right people? And then when the shark fin soup turned up at $150 a bowl, she said, yeah, they probably are, actually. And she said afterwards, she said, it just tasted like fish soup. I said, yeah, but it's a delicacy for them. But no, these are all part of the same thing. You know, this is the family. These are the fathers, the Chinese fathers, who that you know they've had these bonds for years, and that they've used these bonds around the world. There's a number of people who hold these bonds. There's a number of people in high office who hold these bonds. But before they were monetized and capitalized, Trump had to make sure that he recovered the bonds from the people that were naughty. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but some naughty people had the bonds and he didn't want them to benefit from them. So they had to be arrested first before he could monetize and capitalize these bonds.
Do you know when that's going to happen?
It's happening right now as we speak.
So if someone has some of them.
Yeah, and they're a good person, they'll be incredibly valuable.
So how does one go about getting them cashed in?
There will be information out there. The basics are that there will be an 0800 or an 800 number that you will contact, and there will be redemption centers. And when they are redeemed, they will be put onto your Quantum Financial System account. The value of your bonds or whatever assets that you hold.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I understand. And they'll go on as clean and clear funds.
Now, okay, so, I mentioned dreams and about the gold-backed and cryptocurrency and all that. So one of the main dreams that stands out to me was where, first of all, it was Christmas time. I'm dreaming a lot this whole year about Christmas, that it's Christmas time, which I think the meaning of that is fairly obvious. It feels like Christmas because it's such a great time. Yeah. So in this dream, it was Christmas, and I was decorating my Christmas tree with golden retriever Christmas ornaments, and I was hanging them all over the tree, and there were golden retriever dogs around the base of the tree. And some people were walking behind me as I was decorating, and I heard them say, have you heard they have proposed a cashless monetary system backed by gold? I wonder how it's going to affect the election.
Okay.
And then I woke up. So when I woke up, I thought, that means if it's going to affect the election, it's happening soon.
It is. Yeah. It's absolutely spot on. He wanted to come and see who was on tonight.
Hi, Justin. How are you?
I'm good.
I follow you on TikTok.
Thank you.
He's a sweetheart.
Yeah, he's a good man. He knows as much about it as I do. He's been following the journey. Yeah. My job as a parent is to educate him. You're spot on right though about the golden retriever. The golden. We're coming into a golden time, and the retriever part I just see as retrieving power back to the people. And back to the. Look, there's a very important issue here, Rachel. To light a light, you need a positive and a negative. Mm-hmm. After this, negative will still exist, and we need it. But we need positive to be in control. Because normally in an electrical world, you put the switch on the positive side for the flow of electricity to flow through. Negative will still be there. We won't live in paradise. It'll be better, a lot better. But evil will still exist.
Mm-hmm.
You will.
Good analogy.
He's going to bed.
Aw, that's right. We forget you're 6 hours ahead of us.
Charlie, let me ask you a quick question, or not interrupt, but I've been somebody put me onto this a couple of years ago, and I didn't put a lot of money in this. I just did it sort of as a sort of one of those throw it out there test kind of things. But have you heard anything about the Iraqi dinari and some of these other currencies that have been worthless for years, and that Trump's actions are going to make these currencies come back on the Forex or the FedEx market or whatever? This is not my territory. So when I'm speaking as an ignorant fool. So just take it as
never consider yourself as ignorant or a fool.
And Christopher is neither of those things.
Exactly.
No, not at all.
And I'll put that right now, because the information you had there is absolutely spot on right.
Really?
Between now and the end of the year, or certainly within the foreseeable future, we're going to go through what's known as an RV, a revaluation.
Okay.
And the for an example, the pound to the euro to the dollar, there will be parity. That's quite simple because we're all pretty similar. But then you talk about the Iraqi dinar, the Zimbabwean note.
I got those.
Yeah. And I've got $10 trillion notes that cost me 64 euros on eBay. The numbers are correct. They're in perfect condition. And I've been told they could be incredibly valuable. But if they're not worth a penny, it's 64 euros. Great. No big deal. But I've been told that they're going to be revalued. But then I've also been told that when the revaluation takes place, when you phone up the 800 number at the revaluation center, they will tell you what the exchange rate is based on what your intentions are to do with the money. Now, I know they've actually trialed this with 100 individuals. I know they've done this as factually. And they submitted their money in, and they said they were going to spend most of their money on humanitarian aid. And that the specific person bought a private jet and a Ferrari. And the very next day, the rest of their money disappeared off the quantum financial system. So it seems fairly obvious to me that if you actually use your money for humanitarian aid, you'll probably be blessed with an awful lot more. But if you try to use it for self-gratification or self-indulgence, then it'll disappear very, very quickly. But the currencies, as an example, when you revalue those currencies in Zimbabwe, in Iraq, can you imagine when you make the Zimbabweans and the Iraqis incredibly wealthy again, because their money's worth a fortune, they'll be able to rebuild their country and help everybody. And the people who've got money, it'll be our duty to go and help them without forcing things upon them, to lend our expertise, to lend our knowledge, and to lend our help and time to rebuild the countries that have been destroyed by many years of abusive regimes.
Well, that's biblical, because Babylon is going to be rebuilt in the last days. That's something biblical coming out of the end time theology. And I'm a man of faith, and I've studied this for years, and Babylon has to be rebuilt in the end times. And all this made sense to me when this guy was explaining to me the denarii. I was thinking, like, what better way to do it, like you said, Charlie, without going over there and doing it ourselves, than to infiltrate millions and billions of dollars into an economy that is, look, it's pretty bad when the denarii is thrown on the streets, and as you said, you probably get it on eBay for pennies on the dollar. I mean, come on. And then you're hearing this stuff, and look, I've got roughly 1 million, I think, roughly somewhere in that ballpark. And, even if it comes out at $1 a denarii right now, I mean, that's more than I paid for. Hell, I didn't pay but $200 something for the whole stuff. And I'm thinking, holy smokes.
Things will happen. And one thing that's right on your doorstep that had to be dealt with first was the removal of the cabals.
Yes.
In South America, which he's done. I promise you have no idea how many he has removed. And I've heard this from the good side and the naughty side. So I know what I'm talking about is accurate. He's removed those. So when, as an example, Venezuela, Colombia, Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador, when they go to parity, they become incredibly wealthy, but the right people become wealthy and not the cabals. That's why he had to remove them.
Okay. Thank you for that. That gives me a little bit of less sleepless nights about that I didn't throw $250 down the toilet, which I've been known to do before. So
now let me ask you, people are asking me about, used to be real estate was always a sure bet, values always go up. And, I talked to my gold guy from Swiss America, and he says, it's not good to get into real estate now because you're great.
Real estate will drop by between 50 and 80% in value. And it will go back to when Christopher and my father and mother were alive and grandparents were alive, where you could buy a house for 2 years' salary. And we'll get back to those days. The houses will drop to those values, so they're sensible values. Next year, you will not be able to get mortgages, because a mortgage is translated as a death pledge. That's what the translation of the word mortgage is, death pledge. They won't exist. And the way that you'll pay for your house if you don't have enough money is on the quantum financial system, there'll be groups that will help you if you want their help. And there'll be family on there that will say, fine, put my name on the deeds and pay me back. And then you'll have the Jews that will charge you interest. It's in their DNA. But it will take time to work things out, but we're moving into a wonderful world.
So the mortgages won't be cleared, like the debts?
Oh yeah, every mortgage in the world will be cleared because it's a criminal debt.
So you're talking about any new purchases of houses?
Yeah, you won't be able to get a mortgage next year. They won't exist. The old mortgages will be got rid of, and you will not be able to get another mortgage. Mortgages are a thing of the past. You won't get a mortgage. You won't be able to get a mortgage, and if you want to borrow money on the quantum financial system, most people won't need to, because when you buy a house, it's very interesting the way that it works. The title deed will be a token on your own quantum system. So you can allow people to have control of that token if they're helping you fund it. But everything about your house will be on the quantum financial system. So your title deed will be a token on there, and your assets will be on there. And you can use your assets for whatever you so wish to help other people. And if you help other people, your assets will grow. It'll be about humanitarian matters. We're moving into an amazing period of time. And it's a very exciting time because we're in the Great Awakening. We're in a period of enlightenment. It's wonderful. And everything you dreamed about, Rachel, is coming true.
You think this is coming next year, Charlie, after the election?
I think it's happening right now as we speak.
Yeah.
The transition. I think people will become a lot more aware after the election.
Okay.
I think probably next year, those that were fast asleep will start to wake up. I think it could be the explosion of the election will wake people up and go, what just happened? And then next year it will roll out gently. I don't think we'll have the fanfare that we all hoped for, but I think it will roll out. And I think that's a good thing, because all I'm doing is, I'd love to go, yeah, I told you. It's not about that. It's not about that. It's about humanity and moving the world into a better place.
It's great.
Well, I hope that you are right.
I hope you're right too. I don't have a lot of stuff. I got to get Rachel. I didn't realize Rachel was such the economic whiz. I got her on my show next week. I might have to get Rachel to pick her brain and start finding out where I need to put my money. Your little kids dream about Donald. I wish you'd tell everybody that, since we're on a show, about the dream you had about Donald and called him Trump.
Oh yes, yeah. Tell Charlie.
Tell us.
Yeah. So my son, that's a prophet, he had, first in 2013, he said, "I know where our next president lives," which was an interesting thing for him to say. And he was 7 at the time. I said, "Where does he live?" And he said, "At the top of a high-rise building." And I couldn't for the life of me. I thought, high-rise building, who even lives in a high-rise building? I mean, not very many people, so but didn't even occur to me, Donald Trump. So then fast forward, and the election process has just started. There's like 18 or 19 people running in the Republican seat or ticket. And same son said, "Well, I already know which one is going to be the president." And I said, "Who?" And he said, "Well, God told me." He said his name is Tronald Dump.
I love that.
And I said, and he didn't know who Donald Trump was at that point. So I said, "I think you mean Donald Trump." He goes, "Oh, yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was." He'd heard it.
So now you know your son's dyslexic.
Yeah, he actually does have learning disabilities and cognitive issues. It's very interesting because he'll hear something.
He's getting the picture very clear.
Yeah. So then when all of them were on the stage, he walked into the room. It was like the first debate, and they were all standing in a line on the stage as they just brought him out onto the stage. And he walked into the room and he goes, "Oh, there's the president." And he pointed to Donald Trump. He said, "That's the one. That's the one I saw." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's Donald Trump. That's, yeah." But I was thinking, really? I mean, I couldn't, at that point, I didn't have the insight that he had. And then, of course, sure enough, as it got closer and it looked like, he became the candidate, I then really thought, oh my gosh, he really did hear from God about that. So I started making bets with people who were sure that Hillary was going to win. So I raked in some wins with that one.
Excellent.
I love that.
Too bad there's not going to be a Super Bowl.
Well, and now I'm texting them, hey, you want to bet again?
Yeah,
They think
absolutely.
that,
Oh, he's
yeah,
a dead
Biden will
cert.
win.
He's a dead cert. He's an absolute dead cert for that election.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Charlie, the last time we talked, we there was some kind of information coming forward that the Democrats were going to mess up the election so bad they weren't going to be able to declare a winner, and Nancy Pelosi was going to step in temporarily. Is that still going to happen?
Because they bought all these votes to go mail in. They've spent millions and millions and millions on this, and they underestimated Donald Trump and his team. And Donald Trump and his team have been teasing them about, oh, we can buy more than you, basically just teasing them. They had no idea that he was going to allow the voting on the quantum financial system, which is digital voting. So he's completely shot them in the foot. But it's, Nancy Pelosi is 140 years old, and she's got a gun with rubber bullets. She hasn't been held a hit for years. And realistically, even the one we're seeing now is nothing like the real one. That was a poor clone as well. That's all been dealt with. He's totally in control. He's 100% in control right now. But the funny part for me that I think is hilarious is his team are managing their social media. So all this defund the police is not them. It's Trump's team putting it out there. He's putting out some of the most stupid things to see if people will wake up or not.
Yeah. I had wondered, because I had thought about some of the things I've seen. I thought it almost was like, that feels like out of the Trump playbook.
It is.
It's so stupid. As far as for them to actually think that is going to be what people want and will win the election. It's like, it's so stupid. It's almost like Trump is the one controlling their playbook.
His team are seeing how much naughty stuff they can get away with, which for somebody like me who knows what's going on is absolutely hilarious. Because they're doing it in Europe as well. They're doing some really silly things.
Wow.
And you just go, because I said the other day, because they're wearing a mask, completely worthless and hopeless to do so, has no benefit at all. In fact, has the adverse effect. Because in the heat we're in, recycling your own air breaks down your immune system. So when a virus does come along, it's going to kill you. And I said to them the other day, I said, do you reckon if they asked you to stick a broom up your arse and sweep the streets, they'd do it? And somebody said, probably 30% would, and probably another 10% of that would ask for Vaseline so they could enjoy it. That's how stupid they are.
It's awful. My daughter's friend just spent 4 days in the hospital, and they didn't know what was wrong with him. And then they said, you have pneumonia. He's like, how did I get pneumonia? And he said, when he wears the mask, he has a hard time breathing, and he attributed it to wearing masks. I said, yeah. People are going to end up getting all these breathing problems because of these masks.
We've just had something really funny where a guy in England was wearing a mask in his car and he had glasses on. His glasses steamed up, so he had an accident. So they fined him for wearing a mask.
Oh my God.
You can't make this stuff up, and the public are going, what's going on? What's going on? And they're still not waking up to how stupid things have become. Because they're so indoctrinated by the television.
You know what it reminds me of? Do you remember this? I'm sorry, Rachel. Remember the restaurants with you could smoke at this table, but you can't smoke at this table?
Yeah,
it's kind of silly like that. Well, you have to wear a mask here, but over here, if you have a protest sign, you don't have to. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Did you see Trump's news conference yesterday where someone asked him about Q and, he went into the whole, I haven't really heard, I don't know about it, but, I hear they like me and all that. And then someone said, well, these people actually believe that you're trying to take down a satanic pedophile ring, basically saying how stupid that is. And Trump's like, you're saying that like it's a bad thing? Like,
yeah, exactly. I know.
And then later he was talking about, I don't understand why so many people don't like me. I know it's not because of my personality. I have a great personality.
Exactly.
He's so funny.
I took those snippets and put it into my video today as to my thank you to Donald Trump. I put those snippets in my video.
That's so awesome.
Great. He cracks me up.
You might get a thank you from him. I sent him a book because I create these pro-Trump political gag books, and I sell them on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. And during the whole impeachment process, I was just so sick of all these lies, and it frustrated me. So I made a book, Why President Trump Should Be Impeached. And when you open it, it's blank. And I sent it to the White House. And I actually got a thank you card back from him. He says, Melania and I thank you. It's so beautiful. I framed it, you know, and, you know, so you just might get a thank you.
But we got a retweet from his head of security today. So that was good enough for me.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you very much, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlie. Charlie, reach out to me. I'll try to get your information and we'll connect.
You get my information from Denise, no problem at all.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute privilege and an honor.
You same here, buddy. And look
Same
forward
with
to
you,
meeting
Rachel.
you.
Your insights are so valuable to our audiences right now. I mean, you've got so much good information, and when we share information, that's what power comes from.
Thank you. Well, it was such an honor to be on. I have loved following all of you and listening, and it's so refreshing to be with people who know what's going on.
Yes.
Exactly.
And we want more people to know.
You talking about Denise and Charlie? She can't be talking about me. There's no clue what's going on. You kidding me?
Christopher, I have been talking kindly about you to anyone who will listen, saying what a wonderful, wonderful, precious man you are. I feel so privileged to be connected to you. You're a gift to our nation right now.
Chris just learned not to take himself too seriously. That's why I'm like Charlie. I keep my feet on the ground because this stuff's getting so big for me. I'm enjoying the ride, but I can relate to Charlie, and we're on the same page with that.
Definitely.
Charlie just has less hair than I do. Mine's just gray, but that's all right.
Exactly. No, I cut out the gray bit.
And for both of you.
Yeah,
Get out the gray one.
Out his, so you know that's where I'll be in 5 years. The way I look, that's probably 5 or 6 years down the road for me. So.
That's brilliant.
No, Charlie, it's been a pleasure. It has, and Rachel.
It's been an honor and a pleasure for me too.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much, and thank you guys for watching. And just remember, God is in control. So don't fear. All right.
Hi, it's Justin, and I hope you're enjoying my dad's videos. Make sure to share this video with your family and friends, like and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified for all my dad's new videos. My social media will be tagged down below so you can follow it. And just remember, Jesus loves you.